Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Punaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvina Vaditamasthuma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So we have done with the Ishavasya Upanishad yesterday. And we have managed to confuse as many people as we can. Which is what the Upanishad says, that if you say you understand, you don't. If you say I don't, then you understand. So I think if you don't, then you understand, right? So we still have a day satsang. So I thought, maybe I had two ideas. One is that we revise the Upanishad so that when you leave, you fully understand that you don't understand. Or we shift to a text which is also an Upanishad, so that you have some practical understanding of also of what is going on. And not only go around in circles with your mind, but also something a little more graspable. So I'm going to do a section of the Gita today for you. It's a bonus. I would have gone to Kaivalya Upanishad, but then by the time you leave, you will all be in Kaivalya. So, or I thought of a couple of other Upanishads. But now, I said that I'm going to do the Gita, which is also an Upanishad. Why did I say that? Because the Gita itself declares that it's an Upanishad. Anyone who traditionally takes up the study of Vedanta, they study three texts. One, of course, is the Upanishad. The other is the Brahma Sutra, which is even more abstract than the Upanishad. You can spend a lifetime studying the Brahma Sutras. Even with a clear mind and even without cannabis, it takes a long time to understand. And then in the Prasthanatraya, the three parts of the curriculum of study of Vedanta, one is the Upanishad, the other is the Bhagavad Gita, and the third is the Brahma Sutra. So since we did the Upanishad, the next section is the Bhagavad Gita. And the Bhagavad Gita is from the Bhishma Parva, the Mahabharata. And it's something which was not taught in a cave or in the forest, but in the middle of a battlefield. So I would say that it's bringing the Upanishadic teaching into the practical world of how to do it when you're still in the middle of this battlefield of life. That was Kurukshetra. This is also a Kurukshetra. We are battling with so many things, right? So I think it's relevant that do a little bit, a whiff of the Gita after finishing the Upanishad. And all the great acharyas who have commented on the principal Upanishads have also commented on the Gita. The Gita itself, or rather Vyasa himself, at the end of each chapter of the Gita, declares that it is an Upanishad. You read every chapter, at the end you will see one sentence. It says, Iti Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So this is the Bhagavad Gita. Upanishads Brahma Vidyayam. Knowledge of the Upanishads, of course simplified, so you and I can understand. Upanishads. Now what does the Upanishad teach? Brahma Vidyayam, the knowledge of the Supreme Brahman, which confounded us the whole day yesterday. Brahma Vidyayam. It also says Yoga Shastra, it's also the science of yoga, which is the basis of clearing up the mind so that it develops the capacity to understand the Upanishad. You can't live as you like, do what you like, and say, I understand the Upanishad. There is nothing to understand. You need your mind to be properly cleaned and opened up to grasp what is being said. So, it's also a dialogue between Krishna and Arjuna. Sri Krishna Arjuna Samvada. This is the Gita. There are 18 chapters of the Gita. Vyasa himself again says that the Gita is the essence of the Upanishads, extracted and made simple, because the Upanishad by itself is not so easy to understand. In fact, he says in the introduction, if you consider all the Upanishads as cows, Sarvo Upanishato Gavo, Dugdha Gopala Nandana, and if you consider Krishna to be the one who milks the cows, Partho Vatsaha, if you consider Arjuna to be the calf, CALF. You know, when the calf hits his head, the udder of the cow, then the milk begins to flow. So Arjuna keeps on putting. Patso Vatsaha, Sudhir Bhokta, which the wise enjoy, Dugdam Gitamratam Mahat. That milk is the immortal teaching of the Bhagavad Gita. This is Vyasa's description. Now, it has 18 chapters, and each chapter is called an yoga. The first chapter is called Arjuna Vishada Yoga, then Sankhya Yoga, Karma Yoga, and so on. 18 chapters. So the first, now what is to be noted, that here every chapter or every approach to understanding the Brahma Vidya is considered a yoga. So yoga is not merely standing on your head. Every approach to life is yoga. Standing on your head is a good pastime, good for health and so on, but you know what I mean. The approach to life is yoga. Approach to understanding is yoga. Now, the first chapter is Arjuna Vishada Yoga. It's not accidentally named Arjuna Vishada Yoga. It's called Arjuna Vishada Yoga because the yoga of Arjuna's sorrow, yoga of Arjuna's indecision, yoga of Arjuna's uncertainty, yoga of Arjuna's insecurity. I think most of us fall in one of these brackets, at least. I was in this uncertainty bracket till 10 minutes before, wondering what to teach you. All of us have. So it is meant precisely for us who have many uncertain, should I go to India, should I stay, So it is meant for everybody. It's meant for all people who will pass through this indecisiveness. And the indecisiveness also usually is accompanied by sorrow. Because when everything is going fine, nobody wants to think of the Brahman of the Upanishad. Who wants to think of it? Except as a theoretical concern. It's when something strikes you hard that you begin to wonder, there is this life, or is there something, or do all human beings meant to suffer and die? Is there something beyond? The thought occurs when there is some kind of pain, sorrow, indecisiveness. People usually run to, I get 100 emails a day, more than 100, but 100 of them generally are about, I have to choose a job between the two, what would you advise? So I usually say, I'm not a career specialist, sorry. Can we move forward? So, sorrow also causes you to wake up and think if life is much more than this or just this, that you do all this and then suffer. Or is there much more than this, somewhere where you can understand the root of this, why we are, who we are, where are we moving, what is the cause of this, how to solve it. Since the study is about that, it's called Upanishad. You'll notice this, when everything is going fine, generally people don't want to think about spiritual matters. Like, it's when there's a bite that you say, how to get rid of this. Now, if spirituality is a way of getting rid of it, okay, let's get into it. So this is the Gita. Now, also remember that it's called a Gita, Gitam, which means a song. A song is not spoken, it is sung. So this is the Gitam, Bhagavad Gita, the song of the Lord. Krishna is singing to Arjuna about it. Which means there are many things which can be understood through music, through songs, between the lines, than through just prose. And so when you read the Gita, you should remember that it is the same man who is teaching the Gita. Only in the Gita he is a guru. Much of his youth he spent playing the flute and producing music in Vrindavan and attracting the gopis. In the Gita he becomes the guru. Om Sri Paramatmane Namaha, begin. I don't know which is, I don't know if that is why when you acquire, it was not recording till now? It was. What did you switch on? Okay. Doesn't matter. So, probably that's why when somebody becomes a teacher, usually there are many gopis around. Anyway, so the Bhagavad Gita. Now I'm going to begin the chapter. Enough of beating around the bush. This chapter, which we are going to deal with today, is something which is of interest to many people. It's called either Dhyāna Yoga or Abhyāsa Yoga. Can be called either. This is chapter 6. The chapter of the Gita on what is Dhyana. I've done it so many times, all the pages are what is Abhyasa Yoga? What is Dhyana Yoga? What does Dhyana mean? Meditation. So this particular chapter 6 is on meditation. What meditation is. Now the Upanishad was trying to clear all the ideas that you have about the Brahman. Sixth chapter of the Gita is trying to clear all the ideas you have about meditation. These sages are terrible people. They always try to destroy before anything is created. Because there's no way you can do something original without setting away what is already hanging on. So, the Gita, Om Shri Paramatmane Namaha, Shri Bhagavan Vacha. So says Krishna. Do I need to use the Sanskrit or only the English? Both. Okay. The first sloka says, Anashrita karma phalam karyam karma karotiya na sanyāsi cha yogi cha na niragnir na akriya. First, Krishna begins this chapter on meditation by defining who is a sanyāsin. He says, it is the person, anashrita karma phalam, karyam karma karoti, one who performs all his work without worrying about the fruits. Too much I'm adding. Who deserves to be called a sanyāsin, a renouncer. And the yogi. Na agnir na cha akriya, not one who stops all work or stops lighting the fire. Now lighting the fire is a symbol, because in the olden days everybody had a little fire in their own house which they lit and offered aushadas and all into the fire. They cleared the air, and it was also a symbol of offering everything to Agni, which burns up and creates the desire for freedom. This used to be done at every home. That was a time when you did not need a professional priest to do it. Everybody did it. After priesthood came, then this disappeared, because we want to do once in a month, you call somebody and get them to do it. Now, a sannyasi is not supposed to light a fire, traditionally, or to perform a homa. In fact, according to the Dashanami order, you have to keep away from fire. Which means you don't have to perform any ritual. Nor does a sannyasin do any work. He's not supposed to work. You have to feed him. Krishna says, according to him, a sannyasi is not one who has given up all work, or one who has stopped lighting the fire, which is a symbol of household duties, what you have to do when you live in this world. But one who lives in this world, performs his actions at the same time is not too concerned about the results. Which means he's not advising, he's not trying to portray a yogi as one who has left everything and belonged to the other world, but as somebody who is right here in this world, who is trying to figure out his true essence. And he says, see, it's like this, even if you stop some work, you will soon be burdened with other work. I've lived in many ashrams. The people who head them are supposed to be sanyāsin, traditionally. But they're doing so much work. You see, they can't give up work. The worldly competition is over, but the ashram competition is there. Who's going to succeed? What is going to happen? It's called succession politics. Various things happen. It can happen even when a householder is heading. So, what is conveyed is that there is no way, even if you want, to stay without doing some work. Something or the other. And if you have a family, it's your job to look after the family. Not to say, some people don't want to work very hard, so they take sannyas. They go there and see there's much more hard work to do. You're neither here nor there. It's like there's some name for that. Trishanku Sorga. Neither up there nor down. Yeah. So Krishna is in the first chapter itself. Now please, the name of this chapter is meditation, yoga of meditation. So it's saying for starting meditation, it doesn't mean that I will start meditation. I will go only after everything is over and I've left. No, start where you are. This is the message. And don't keep yourself idle. Because an idle brain, you know what it is. It's a devil's workshop. You might think it will meditate, but soon it will be doing something else. Which is why, when Swami Vivekananda started the Ramakrishna mission, he made it very clear, you guys are not going to meditate 24 hours a day, it's impossible. So do some seva, do some work. Keep your mind and body occupied by doing good to others. By doing good to others, if you don't want to work for yourself, work for somebody else. By that, you will also keep yourself alert. You will not lapse into laziness thinking that this is sannyas. And keep your mind on the goal while doing your work and staying in this world. You can't go anywhere. Wherever you go, you carry your mind, right? You can't, suppose I say, I'm going to the Himalayas to meditate. Yeah, good. But do I go, which means my mind is also going with me, or am I leaving my mind in Texas and going to the Himalayas? I'm taking my mind with me. And the cause of all mischief is the mind. I don't know if you get one. It's very easy to understand. Plus the fact that nowadays, even in most places in the Himalayas, you will not find the solitude that you seek. I've seen it, I know it. Even in those days, it was difficult. Now those mostly become tourist centers and things. Where will you find it? And then you have to fend for your food. Don't go under that illusion. Huh? If anybody wants to go, please ask me before you go. Don't go there and get disillusioned and come running back. While it's good to go to the Himalayas on a trip if you have enough money, but When I was sometimes spending some time in Rishikesh, when I was very young, of course, at the ashram, Shivananda ashram. So evening on the banks of the Ganga, there was a spot where you could go and sit quietly. Because in the ashram, after the periods of service and meditation and bhajan is over, there are hundreds of people trying to figure out who you are, where are you doing, what are you. So to escape, you come to the banks of the Ganga and sit down quietly. It's also a place where sanyāsins, brahmacharis, who want to smoke without others finding, come, and so on. You can't suddenly give up, right? So, that's okay. So I also used to go and hang around there, not to smoke. But, So there was this guy from my state, from where I come from Kerala. State where everybody thinks they are the most brightest in the world. So this guy was there. And one day he told me, this is nonsense. I want to go away from here. I said, where are you going? He said, I don't like this. You see, from that side there is this music blaring, loudspeakers. And he said, so what are you proposing? I know there is a cave beyond Lakshman Jhula. So I'm going there to meditate. I said, okay, good. You want to come? I said, no, I'm not. I'm happy. So he went off. For 4-5 days he didn't come back. I thought he had attained samadhi there. After 4-5 days he was not there. Then after 5 or 6 days I see him back. I said, what happened? No way. I said, what happened? He told me, Malayalam sounds very funny, but I'll tell you in English. He said, this is terrible. I went there and meditated for 3 days. It was nice, very beautiful. Then hunger started gnawing, and then I said, let me go down and get some food from some ashram. So I opened my eyes. And what do I see? I thought an ET has come to bless me. After this deep meditation, extraterrestrial. I said, how did you figure out? Well, because he had a helmet and he had a tube, and he put both his hands like this. So I bowed down to him and he said, don't bow down to me. I said, but what are you doing here? He said, can you get out of the cave? I said, but why? I've come from the municipality to spray for mosquitoes. I mean, this is the situation. So anyway, this is when I was 21 years old, 20 years. Now, anyway. So, now why did I talk about this? So Krishna says to Arjuna, have no illusions, stay where you are, do your work, serve whoever you can to the best of your capacity. Meanwhile, don't get too worried about. See, most of the reason why we can't do something well is because we worry about, oh, I failed, so I can't do it. All people who have succeeded, even in the material world, are those who have taken failure in their stride and said, let me move forward. It's okay. It's a good lesson to learn why I failed. I figure that out and go, because it's a stepping stone to move forward to success. But if I stay there, I waste a lot of useful energy on just ruminating over the loss and not being able to move forward. So Krishna, as a good psychiatrist, says, so therefore, you know what a good psychiatrist is. Throughout he talks to Arjuna. Whenever Arjuna feels a little down, he calls him Mahabaho, oh, one with mighty limbs. And then he says, idiot, have you listened? Expert. Great person. So, he says, therefore, it is the person who performs his duties without hanging on to the fruits, who deserves to be called a sanyāsin and a yogi. Here he is interchanging yogi and sanyāsin. Not one who stops all work or avoids all work. That's a better expression. Then he says, Yam sanyasam iti pra. Should I read the Sanskrit? You're okay with the time gap? Yam sanyasam iti prahur yogam tam vidhi pandava nahi asamsyasta sankalpo yogi bhavati kaschana. O son of Pandu, family name, what is called sanyasa or renunciation is not different from yoga. It's not changing your robe, shaving your head, or running away from work. What is called sanyasa is the same as the discipline called yoga, and also it is the same as the discipline of selfless action. He's putting these three together. Sanyasa is yoga. A yogin is a sannyasin. And a sannyasin is one who does selfless work. You know why people usually start work? It's not giving me any profit. Can you also ask, is it helping somebody else? So, yogi, sannyasi, and one who is a karma yogi, which means who does selfless action, not for himself, but for others. All these are considered to be one. What is called sannyasa, renunciation. Yam sanyasam iti prahur yogam tam vidhi Pandava. Understand that, Pandava. And he says, nahi asamyasta sankalpo yogi bhavati kaschana. Whoever has not abandoned subtle hankerings and self-objective thinking cannot become a yogi or a sannyasin. Therefore, to bring that about, spiritual communion through selfless service is required. I can say that I have moved out from a particular locality to some other locality. What about the subtle hankerings in my mind? They haven't changed. They are still there. So they will come back again. So I'll try my best to control them. If I can't, I'll shift back to where I started from, to my locality. Right? He's saying that until the subtle hankerings have not been conquered, you cannot do a life of pure contemplation. So till then, what do? Do selfless service. Do work for others. It need not be others, meaning somebody staying far away. It can be your own family or your own neighbors. It could be anybody. Some people say, oh no, I am doing my duty. What do we mean by, oh, I'm looking after my kids and my family, and that is karma yoga. The monkeys, chicken, they all look after their small ones. You don't have to be a human being to do that. It is built into the system. I'm not saying you should abandon them. It's all built into the system. Have you seen the monkey jumping with his little kid hanging on his tummy? See how the chicken behaves when an eagle comes near it, the little chicks. How does the hen behave? Protect it. So it's built in the system, not a big deal. If I say I am serving my neighbor's child, then I have moved a little bit. My child is normal. Then I consider somebody else also as equal. Of course, I can't look after the whole world, but at least one more. Then I'm moving. No, because people use that as an excuse. Krishna said, do your duties, and I'm doing my duty. Yeah, it's right. But are you also adding a little bit of expansion of mind where you're also looking after somebody else? If I say myself is in all and all selves are in me, can I think of somebody else as my own also? Or is it merely in my brain? Does it translate into action? So if I meditate deep enough, is my mind growing compassionate also? Or is it merely hanging on to intellectual nothingness? Some of the things to be thought about. So Krishna says, O son of Pandu, what is called Sanyasa, or renunciation, that is also yoga of discipline and selfless action. But till the time when your mind is freed of its subtle hankerings, you cannot just lead a life of pure contemplation. He's saying, he didn't say don't contemplate, but then you need to be ready for that. Which is why in the ancient system, they made 4 stages of life. One is the time when you study, the Brahmacharya period. The second is the time when you live with your family and do your honest work, whatever you're doing, the Grahastha. And the Grahastha, after some time, after having finished most of his work, he says, now I'm spending longer periods in solitude to go deeper into the inner realities. Then, when he has found the inner realities, then he has nothing to do, so he gives up everything. This is the usual stage. Now, somewhere along the line, the thing started of jumping from Brahmacharya to Sannyas directly, without the grahastha in between. This is possible only for the rarest of the rare. You can't make it a common factor. This is where the problems come. I'm not saying you should not, but it's not meant for everybody. It's not so easy. You might in your first enthusiasm, or because the society expects you to do it. But then you suffer, you can't go back, you can't. While I have great respect for sannyasins, it's not so easy, that's what I'm trying to say. And the Gita says it is not necessary to do that. How many of you have heard of Lahiri Mahāsaya? You, so many. So, you might think that Lahiri Mahāsaya's nearest and closest disciple was Yuktēswar Giri. You might think so. That is because of the yoga autobiography of a yogi. Lahiri Mahāsaya had many disciples, many. And in fact, his most prominent disciple was somebody called Panchanan Bhattacharya, who lived in Jharkhand, in what is now Jharkhand, those days Bihar. Panchanan Bhattacharya was the closest disciple to Lahiri Mahāsaya. Why I am saying this is because he was not a sanyāsin. Neither Lahiri Mahāsaya was a sanyāsin, nor was Panchanan Bhattacharya a sanyāsin. The interesting thing is, Panchanan Bhattacharya was a very spiritually inclined person. Somewhere in his early life, he went and took sannyas from somewhere. And then he learned that Kriyā Yoga is a wonderful way of moving forward on the path. And he also heard that the prominent and best known practitioner of Kriyā Yoga was Lahiri Mahāsaya, and that he was living in Banaras. So he went there, wearing his robe, saffron robe. Lahiri Mahāsaya looked at him and said, good, seemed to be a good student, okay. But when did you take sannyas? He said, some time back. Then he asked him a very personal question. He had 5 children, Panchanan Bhattacharya. He said, you have taken sannyas. Now these 5 children, do you think I will look after them or who will look after them? But he said, I want to have Kriyā. He said, I will give you Kriyā. Do you have the guts to go and discard the robe and come back wearing ordinary clothes? Now this is a difficult thing to do, You can't discard. According to society norms, it's worse than death to become a sanyāsin and then... But he was so keen on Kriyā Yoga that he was ready to do it. So he went and threw it off and wear some normal clothes and came back. He said, now I'll teach Kriyā Yoga. And it was Panchanan Bhattacharya's many disciples who still have Kriyā Yoga circles in many places, including Banaras. Now, Yogananda Paramahamsa's guru, Yuktēswar Maharaj was a sanyāsin, Yuktēswar Giri, Vasanami. He waited till Lahiri Mahāsaya passed away before taking sannyas because he was worried. If I go and ask him, what will he say? So, okay. I'm not giving you an excuse for not being a sannyasin, okay? I have met one person in my life who I would consider to be a true sannyasin. My life. Opinions may differ, my opinion. And that was the old Shankaracharya of Kanchi, Chandrasekhara Bharati, who everybody called Paramacharya, Kanchi Paramacharya. That was a sannyasin who always walked, who didn't live in any household. Even when he is traveling, if he came near a house, he said, prepare a bed for me in the cow shed. How many sannyasins can be like that? Nowadays on sannyasins, once I went to Kumbh Mela when I was very young with Maheshwarnath Babaji, my guru. It was the first time I was going and I saw that on an elephant somebody was coming. They were holding an umbrella, fanning, blowing the conch and so on. And somebody, oh, now we don't have the conch, but I'm coming. So I was quite fascinated. I asked Babaji, who is this? He said, that is the Mahamandaleshwar of some Akada, he said, Mahamandaleshwar. So I said, what is Mahamandaleshwar and what do they do? He said, I'll tell you later. I can't tell you now. So I kept quiet. Sometimes when he said, I can't tell you now, you can't ask him, get a knock on the head. So I kept quiet. Yeah? Later on, we were sitting near the river in Haridwar Kumbh Mela. And I asked him, Babaji, you didn't explain to me, who is this guy? He said, he's a Mahamandaleshwar. So I said, what do they do? He said, wo khate hain aur sote hain. So they eat and sleep, he said. Big paraphernalia. Anyway, I have a good, very close friend who is also a Mahamandaleshwar. It's okay, good man. So, the third shloka of the Upanishad. Arurakshor muner yogam karma karanam uchyate yoga arudhasya yoga arudha tasya tasyaiva samak karanam uchyate. For one who desires to ascend the path leading to the heights of yoga or spiritual communion, detached work is the means. You cannot get out of your work, but if you need to move forward on this path, work with detachment. That is the means. But for one who has ascended it, already gone quite far, for such people, quietness and withdrawing from work is the best thing. Till you reach that part where the mind is quiet, where the mind has become tranquil, work is the best means to move forward. When you have come to a state, when your mind has become somewhat calm and quiet, then you can retire. Not all the time, but occasionally. I am adding this. It's difficult to retire all the time. So, yadahi indriyartheshu na karmaso anusajjate sarva sankalpa sanyāsi yogarodhasya uchyate. When one ceases to be attached to the sense objects and also to one's actions. How is one attached to the sense objects? It's easy to understand. How does one not be attached to one's own actions? Which means you do what has to be done, don't worry about it too much. You can say that in the meditation hall, one can only meditate. It is not a place to sleep because it is called a Dhyāna hall. It's not called a Shushupti Mandapa. But if somebody sleeps, what can you do? I mean, you just need to carry on with life. So, one who desires to, you know what, a place which is meant for something creates its own vibrations. And if you do something else there, it changes the whole setup. Which is why it's good to meditate in a meditation hall and sleep in the bedroom. When you go home, if your bedroom becomes the meditation hall, then also try not to meditate on the bed, because in 2 minutes you might want to sleep. Because the sleep thing is stuck to all your bed clothes, right? So if you meditate in the bedroom, put a blanket down somewhere away and then sit down there, better. Because familiar surroundings attract familiar vibrations. Right. So Krishna says, when one ceases to be attached to sense objects, that means one can live without many of the things that we think we cannot live without. When that happens, and also to one's actions, then that person has now abandoned all the subtle hankerings. And there are no self-centered objectives. Objective is for serving somebody else. Such a person is said to have ascended, has become a yoga arudha, ascended the heights of spiritual communion. When this happens, you can say this person has attained the height of spiritual communion. Now, the next shloka, Uddharat Atma Smanam Na Atmanam Avasadayat. Atmaiva hi atmano bandhur atmaiva ripur atmana. One should lift one's lower self, which means the positive self, by the higher self, which means the peaceful and tranquil self. Both are same, but as a matter of description. If you allow only the lower mind, which pulls you down into depression and dejection all the time, then you will sink. Krishna says there is also one part of your mind which is thinking of higher things, which has hope, which wants to move forward. Use that mind to push this mind up. Don't downgrade or depress yourself. Don't think, oh, all this seems to be a tall order, I don't think I am capable of doing it. Don't allow that thought to come. Push it up. Why? Because your own self, you can say mind if you like, is both your friend and also your foe. You don't have foes anywhere outside. Both your friend and foe sits in one place, which is my own mind. So with the mind that is the friend, help the mind that is a foe to let you move forward. Don't allow it to sink. Use your mind. Do positive things. When the mind is depressed, do things that make it better. If nothing, go for a walk. If you always see the mind being pulled down, there are some persons, if you talk to them for 10 minutes, you will feel terribly dejected and down. Seriously. No, when you are constantly in touch with such people, it's called Dursanga, which is the opposite of Satsanga. Satsanga is when you talk to a person and you feel light up. So Krishna is advising, use that part of your mind, which is your good mind, which is your sadhu satsanga, to counteract your dursanga. Don't mind that negatively pulls you down all the time. Haven't you noticed that sometimes? Even when you're traveling in a bus, there are some people who will come and sit near you. They'll start talking to you. In 5-10 minutes, you feel so terrible and down, you don't know what to do. On the other hand, you see some come and sit near you, you're in a very bad mood, and they say, hey, did you notice this? And start talking something quite strange, but at the end of it, you feel, hi, nice, I'm okay. Now, this is because of Sangha. Human beings are society-oriented animals. All of us. So our mind changes according to our surroundings. So the Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam, constantly stresses this fact that since we are society-oriented beings, we need to be surrounded by those who take us to positive ways and not by those who take us to negative ways. So the positive they call as sadhu satsanga, and the negative dursanga. So Krishna says, stay away from Dursanga. Get that Now, the funny thing is, it need not be another person. It's there right in your mind. There are two parts. Believe me, there are people who get up in the morning, and even if it's a beautiful day, they look at the horizon and say, there are dark clouds. I think it is going to... You cannot do anything. And there are others who look and see the dark clouds and say, the grass needs water, I think it's going to rain. The rain is going to rain anyway, is how you look at it. Krishna is trying to say what psychiatrists are saying these days, be positive. 1,000 years ago. And it's all in your mind. Lift your mind up. Move forward. So we'll come back and continue with the Gita. Isn't it better than he who understands does not understand and you... This is the best satsang like this, nothing, no. You should smile a little more, my dear. You don't so sweet, so serious. No, I'm talking to him.